Hey guys, happy Monday and welcome back to week 6 of the Quarantine Creative Challenge. We've drawn all sorts of things now, and today we're going to focus on a bike with a basket full of flowers. Like normal, feel free to paint along with me. You can pause now, get yourself a hot cup of coffee and all your supplies. If you are out of supplies, just use something else. Draw it in pencil or ink or acrylic, whatever you want. I just really would like to encourage you to be creative with me as we wrap up our series. I have myself set up with some flowers and a warm cup of coffee. Today we're going to focus on a bicycle. And to make it a little more spring flavored, we're going to put some flowers in a basket on it. Now, I looked up a stock photo of a vintage bicycle so that I remember where all the parts go, because I really didn't want a modern bike like mine in my painting. And then I added a basket, and I'm going to put just some flowers. Now my flowers, I'm not using a reference photo at all. And you can either base your painting on mine or you can go totally different. Either way, I'd love to see it on social media when you're done. So after you watch this video, please take a picture of whatever you drew or painted. And in the description below, you'll find my social media, and go tag me on social media or just add it to a comment on my Facebook post. Thank you guys, and let's get started. I've already got myself prepared, and I've taped my painting down, and I've penciled out a vintage bicycle with a little outline of a basket so that we could just get straight into the painting while my coffee is still hot. So I'm going to start with the wheel wells, and I'm going to do a tie-dye bike from blues and greens, get some good teals in there. I'm going to paint the seat and the handlebars brown, so I'm going to start with a warm tan, and then in the shadows I'm going to go for my cooler brown color. And I'll layer these up with some more color later on. Then on the wheels, I want to do gray on the outline so that it kind of gives them a 3D effect, where they're darker on the edges and lighter in the middle. And I'll go ahead and fill my brush with some more paint from that gray too. So as you can see, I'm going really light today on my colors, and then I'm going to add more and more paint to give them that depth, because I want this to look kind of 3D, and I want to be able to add shadows and have that freedom. And if you go too dark, it's really hard to come back from that. So now I'm going to do just the bottom of the basket, and this is more to give me a feel for where the basket is. You could totally paint the basket in after you've painted your flowers, but I want to get that base color in, and then I'm going to do the body of the bike because it's not touching anything that's wet. And as you can see, like normal, I'm painting one area of my painting and I'm letting that dry and painting something else, and then coming back to the dry areas to touch them up and to add color and things like that. I'm going to paint blues in spots and then mix them in with greens, so I don't have a solid color for my frame. This is going to give my bike a little more of an abstract feel, but I still will try to make it slightly realistic. Here, I'm putting the pencil directly on the paper, and then I'm using water to move the pigment around. But you'll see later, or in my previous videos, that you can also just take your wet paintbrush and touch the tip of the watercolor pencil and get pigment like you would with a regular palette. I'm skipping around a lot to make sure that I don't do wet paint near wet paint so the colors bleed. So you'll see that I did a couple flowers here, and then part of the wheel, and then shadows and accents and things like that. But I'm really letting them dry before I get too close to anything so that it would bleed. Also, for these rims, I'm not doing solid lines everywhere that are the same thickness. I'm going to give them some variation so that it looks like the light is hitting them. Since they're metal, they tend to be shiny, and they don't really look the same thickness when you see them in a painting or a picture, and that's the look I'm trying to kind of reflect. I'm also going to give my handlebars and my seat a little more shadow, and then now that my basket's dry, I can start to give that texture. Then I skip to the texture in the wheel. So I'm just going to be kind of bouncing around in the painting, adding accents. One more tip is, since my bike is blue and green, I want to make sure that I'm pulling some blues and greens into my flowers too, so it doesn't look like two separate paintings. I want to make sure to hit some sort of color palette. If you want to do the exact same colors from your bike, that's great. I'm going to add some accents of pinks and oranges and yellows, but you don't have to. It's really whatever you feel like. So my inspiration for the flowers was lavender, but I'm going to make it a little more blue to go with the bike. And then later I'll even probably add in some forget-me-nots or something else to pull out more of those blues. And my flower basket is very organic. I'm not using a reference photo for this. I'm just kind of painting wherever it feels like it needs more color. And I'm trying to pull the color throughout the entire painting. So if I use a new blue in these flowers, I would probably go back and add it to my bike as well in the shadows so that it kind of pulls those colors together. And once your flower basket starts to fill out, you can go back in and color in the full basket. But make sure that underneath where the flowers are, it's a little darker. That'll help it look a little more realistic because the shadow from the flowers would hit the basket. And I'll even do a shadow under the tires. Now, for the fun part, I'm going to get detail oriented and use my Micron pen to outline the bike. Now, I'm not doing a solid cartoony outline. I'm trying to outline mostly where the shadows are, or where I want your eye to focus, or where the painting details weren't quite sharp enough and I feel it needs a little more contrast with the background to really pull that bike out to the front of the painting. So this is our last week. When you post your picture, please post any ideas if you want me to do another one of those video series. Just post them on my social media. And I really cannot wait to see what you guys paint. Thank you for joining me on this series. If you're new and you missed the first 5, go back and look at them. They're fun. We had a lot of fun, and there were quite a few really good posts on social media. My favorite part was just to see people get more comfortable with the medium, and you could see their growth just by practice. The good thing for me about this series is this is forcing me to use my watercolor on a regular basis. And sometimes even if we feel comfortable in a medium, if we're not using it all the time, our skills don't quite stay as honed. And so this has been really nice to see how my hand has become more comfortable, how the posts on social media, you guys are getting so much better and faster, and you can see that there's more confidence in the art you're doing. So this has been really fun. When you're done with this video, please post to social media with whatever you paint, and please give me an idea if you want to do this again, a different series, or if this was good, lockdown is getting free and we don't need any more of these. Thank you all so much, and hopefully I will see you on social media soon.